Hi, in this video we will learn about landing gear systems. Okay, landing gears are the parts of the aircraft which support the weight of aircraft while it is on the ground. Okay, there are two types of landing gears. One is nose landing gear and one is the main landing gear. Nose landing gear provides the directional movement of the aircraft while it is on ground, and the main landing gear is the one which supports the major part of the weight of the aircraft. Okay, so what are the formats of landing gear? The main one we use nowadays is the tricycle format landing gear. Okay, nose landing gear in the front and the main landing gear in the behind. Earlier in smaller aircrafts it was a reverse also, means the main landing gear is on the front and a single small landing gear on the back. Okay, so let us see what are the main components of a landing gear. The main component of the landing gear is the oleo pneumatic shock struts. That means oleo means there will be oil in that, and pneumatic means there will be compressed air in that. Okay, see, this is the major type of oleo pneumatic strut. See, this is the strut. Okay, here you can see some air. It is compressed air and it acts as a spring. Okay, means when a shock is there absorbed by the landing gear, it will compress the landing gear, and this compressed air will act as a spring. Okay, and then comes the oil part of that. That's why it is called a oleo pneumatic. This oil damps the movement of the strut. When there is a frequent motion of the landing gear, this oil helps dampening of that effect. Dampening means reducing the up and down moment. Okay, and it also provides necessary lubrication also. When the air compression means the compressed air is more, the shock absorbing capacity will be reduced, and when the air is less, the shock absorbing capacity will again be reduced, and there will be a soft movement of the landing gear, but still there will be some issues with that, because then happens bottoming. Bottoming means the oleo pneumatic struts will go inside and it will just hit the upper part of the landing gear, and it may cause damages also. Okay, that is why it is important that the struts are inflated to the correct gas pressure. Too high air pressure and the shock absorption is reduced, because the spring action of the compressed air will be very much reduced, and a low pressure of the strut will cause less extension of the strut, and it also leads to bottoming. Bottoming means the shock absorption won't be there. If load is there, shock absorption won't be there, because it will simply move to the maximum limit and it will hit the upper part of the landing gear. So this strut gas pressure should be checked at regular intervals, because it is gas pressure anyway. So it can be loosed through small orifices or anything. So it is done by an engineer, and pilots also do that when we go for a walk around inspection. Okay, we can have a just visual check of that. If there is approximate travel of the travel space in the pneumatic strut, then we can understand like, okay, it is fine. And there will be some graph or reading also to know whether it is in the normal travel range based on the weight of the weight loading configuration. Yeah. Then comes landing gear bracing. During takeoff, landing and taxiing, the landing gear is subject to considerable side fore and aft loads. Okay, that means when the aircraft is in landing phase, or during takeoff run or landing or in taxi, while it is on the ground and it is moving, there will be considerable loads to move sideways also. Okay, because if the strut is like this, then if some sideways movement are happening, then it can damage struts. So to prevent that and to prevent the possible collapsing of the leg, additional support is provided. Okay, when we see the struts, we can see like it is not like a single bar. it will have some additional attachments also. These are called landing gear bracing. That prevents the wheel from moving unnecessary towards the right or left, or it can prevent breaking off, and it can prevent other damages also, collapsing damages also to the landing gear. That is called the landing gear bracing. Okay. Then comes the types of configuration of main landing gear. Okay. From the images you can understand that. If the wheel is single, then it is called a single wheel configuration, and then one is behind the another one, it is tandem, and when two of the wheels are side by side, then it is called a double landing gear, and if 4 of them are there, then it is called a bogie. 4 or more, then it is called a bogie. Okay. Landing gear locks. Okay, in aircraft with retractable landing gears, it is necessary to make sure that the landing gears are retracted or it is extended. Okay, so there are locks, means there are up locks and down locks. If the landing gear is up, then it should be kept over there, and if it is down, then also it should be there. Okay, it should be activated, is to engage or disengage it, we should activate it manually. So there should be some kind of lock to prevent accidental movement of this landing gear. Okay, for that we use up locks and down locks on the landing gears. Okay, these locks are provided using some spring action, with some spring force it is done, and it is overcome by using some hydraulic pressure. If a higher hydraulic pressure is applied, it can overcome the spring force and it can move it means it can actuate the landing gear motion. And then comes the landing gear doors. While in flight, if the landing gear is simply put inside some portion or something, it can cause drag also, because if it is kept in some pocket, or means some landing area or landing gear area pocket, but still it can cause drag because air can be trapped inside that and air can move to and fro. So to avoid that, we provide it with landing gear doors. When the landing gear is in motion or if it is retracted, then the door should be opened, and when the landing gear is up, then the landing gear door should be closed. The doors are also operated mechanically by some gear movement or some hydraulic operation or something like that. Okay. Then comes extension and retraction. Raising and lowering the landing gear of an aircraft is almost invariably achieved by hydraulic systems. Smaller hydraulic systems are used to move the landing gear down and up. Since the landing gear is essential to safe landing of the aircraft, it is of vital importance that there should be an alternative means of extending the gear in the event of a hydraulic system failure. Okay, actually these landing gear doors, this landing gear movement can be hindered if there are some errors in the hydraulic systems or anything. So to prevent that, in case of some emergency, means in case if the hydraulic system fails, some system should be there to overcome the hydraulic failure and to activate the landing gear extension or retraction. For that, pneumatic systems will be present usually, because it will be more powerful than hydraulic systems and it can simply override the hydraulic system. If the hydraulic system is broken or if it is not working properly, then the pneumatic system can take place, means can cause the movement of the cause the acceleration of the landing gear. In some smaller aircraft, there will be some manual system also to engage and disengage extension and retraction of the landing gears. Okay, and yeah, then comes valves. Actually, there are valves to select upward movement, downward movement of the landing gear. It is not of too much interest for us pilots, but from this image you can understand how it works. Okay, if the valve is put to be opened on one side, it will cause the hydraulic flow to one portion, means to one way, and it will cause the extension. and if it is if the oil is put on the reverse, it will cause the oil to move in reverse, and it will cause the retraction of the landing gear. That's it. Then comes landing gear control positions. There are 3 major positions for a landing gear movement. One is up and locked, one is unlocked. That means the landing gear is in its traveling phase, means it is moving down or up. And then comes down and locked. Okay. So actually there will be some indication in the cockpit to make sure that the pilot is knowing what is happening with the landing gear. So when it is up and locked, there will be some indication, usually in white, and if it is traveling, means it is on the unlocked phase, it will be warning. It will be giving a warning with a red light. That means the aircraft is not properly configured for landing, and the retraction of the landing gear, means extension of the landing gear is going on. Okay, and if it is taking off, then also the upward motion is also taking place, retraction is taking place, and it has not been fully retracted. In that time, means during that travel time, it will be shown a red warning light. And then comes down and locked. When their landing gear is extended fully, it will go to a locked position, so that the aircraft is ready to land and the landing gear is ready to hold the weight of the aircraft. At that time, a green symbol will be there for that warning. Then comes landing gear warning systems. Landing gear warning systems provides visual and oral warning that an unsafe landing condition exists. For example, if the aircraft altitude is too low and the landing gear is not yet extended, in such case, ground proximity warning system and this will work in combination. Landing gear warning system will work in combination and provide you with a visual and audible warning. Okay. Then comes nose wheel steering. Okay, steering means the directional control of the aircraft while it is on ground is provided by the movement of the nose wheel or the nose landing gear, NLG. Okay. So this is the basic symbol of basic working principle of this steering. Okay. And then comes the turning radius. Actually, there is nothing much to learn about the steering part of the nose landing gear. You can just understand what it is by looking into a diagram. That's it. And then comes the turning radius. Turning radius means the radius of a circle which an aircraft makes from wingtip to front and aft tips. Okay, it is a circle which the aircraft takes to the radius of the circle which the aircraft takes to turn 180 degree on the ground. Okay, it is affected by a lot many factors like taxiing speed, gross weight of the aircraft, center of gravity position, nose wheel steering angle, distance between nose wheel and main wheel centers, and track width between main wheels. These are the governing factors which determines the turning radius of an aircraft. One is the taxiing speed. If the speed is more, it will need more area, means it will require more radius to go for a 180 degree turn. And if the weight is more, then also the same. Then comes the center of gravity position. If the center of gravity position is on the prescribed limits, okay, then that's fine, and it will go around in a prescribed radius itself. And the nose wheel steering angle. If the nose wheel steering angle is too much, means then it will provide a very less radius, turning radius. Just like when we turn our car, if the steering angle is too much, means if it is in the extreme end, we can turn the car more easily in tight spaces. Okay. Likewise, if the steering angle is more in the aircraft also, the radius of turning radius will be reduced. And about the distance between nose wheel and the main wheel. If the distance between nose wheel and the means this distance distance between nose wheel and the center wheel also determines the turning radius, because if the distance is 2 more, that means the aircraft will be stable as such and it has to move like this, it has to rotate. So it should be in a design limit, and that is not a variable option. We can't change it because it is engineered for an aircraft. Okay. Then comes the wheels and tires in the next video.